Well, I guess I'm live. I didn't really mean to hit that. I'm going up a couple of minutes early, but that's not really a problem. Good evening. It is, 2 minutes before 10 p.m. on the west coast of the United States. It is 0558 GMT, apparently. And this is cBAS After Dark for Monday, the 23rd of February, 2015. Welcome. I got a lot to talk about, a whole lot of stuff. In fact, I'm quite sure I do not have the ability to talk about everything I want to talk about this evening. First and foremost, let me get my stuff on the screen here. Usually I like to put my phone number in on the screen just to give you the chance to call me. My phone number is, as it always has, and it's not just for telephone purposes, by the way. If you don't want to call, be live on the air, but you want to send me a message, you can send me a text message at the number that is appearing on your screen right there. It is 776-5869 in the 310 area code in the United States. Again, that's 310-776-KUNZ, 310-776-5869. And I got a whole lot to talk about. I'm here to tell you I'm probably going to be a little bit tearful, just because it's been a very emotional day. Racked with guilt about some things, other things that are not personal but still make me very emotional are things I'm probably going to be talking about as well. Anyway, thank you for being here. Let's just talk about it. I don't know if I don't really sense anybody's watching, and so that gives me a little bit of extra, I don't know, freedom or less fear to talk about what it is I want to talk about. Should I put my hood up? Look like the Unabomber? Maybe not. I should try to fix my hair before I go on goddamn internet, but whatever. Let me try and access my rundown. The first thing I want to talk about, a couple of things. I was just flipping through and I saw a piece of the Edward Snowden documentary. I think it's called Citizen 4. That looks badass. I still have to set aside time to watch the entire thing before I can really, say for sure. But I did know I wanted to watch it. I do think Edward Snowden's a hero, if nothing else, for, disseminating information about how freaking stupid the country's, like the data infrastructure and security thereof. I believe a big shining spotlight should be placed on that, and I think it is a heroic thing, not a treasonous thing, for him to have done what he did, especially given how much he gave up, his wife, his child, and so on. What I really want to talk about is I've been watching brain games lately. Love brain games. Do not love brain games. First of all, they figured out, remember the thing about, the Mozart effect? Listening to Mozart increases your intelligence or increases your brain power or something like that. There was a bullshit episode of the Penn and Teller show, Bullshit, on Showtime, where it kind of dealt with this. Obviously, I can't show clips of it here because Google is really good about censoring when you are pirating stuff. But, the thing I liked about it was that in the brain games experiment, they actually tried something different that the bullshit people did not try. They gave them some puzzles, they got 1 out of 3 of the puzzles. Then they listened to some Mozart for a few minutes. I think it was like maybe less than 60 seconds, actually. And then, lo and behold, the same type of test was much higher. The people scored much higher in the same kind of test after listening to the Mozart. But then they did it again, and they found that people who listened to rock music also did better on the tests than previous to listening to the rock music. So it was really kind of interesting to me that the Mozart effect is not a Mozart effect as far as classical music is concerned, but any kind of music that you find pleasurable, that you like, is something that puts your brain into a state where it is sort of in increased awareness, increased, activity, and so on. It's just goddamn good. The other thing, and I'm telling you right now, I'm going to become tearful. I'm probably going to cry. A, it's been a very emotional day, but B, this situation just hits a nerve, some kind of button in my brain. Empathy. What makes us be empathetic? What makes us not be empathetic? What makes us help somebody who fell down on the ground in front of our face? What makes us step over a homeless person down on the ground when it's really both a person who's on the ground? Now, The first experiment they did in the Brain Games episode was have a nice woman in a nice bright blazer trip and fall and stay down on the pavement. And within seconds, each time they ran this experiment, people clamored to help her. You okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? And then the second one was they had the same actress, but dressed shabbily with like those stonewashed jeans from the 80s and really greasy, messed up hair. And it was really, she looked quite sad. And sure enough, she laid down on the ground for 15 minutes and nobody came to help her. Then they did it with a guy, an older man, kind of a grandpa type. In his grandpa-ish suit, he had kind of greasy hair, but he was clearly not like a homeless guy. He was just a grandpa type. Sure enough, he goes down on the pavement. Shoo, people come and come to try and help. In the second, they did not change anything he wore. They did not change his hair or anything. The only thing they did was put a can inside of a brown paper bag that he was holding. It was a can of like Arizona iced tea. It was not even beer or anything alcoholic. But sure enough, just seeing that paper bag and the can in his hand had him sitting on the ground, laying on the ground for 15 minutes, apparently in need of help. But sure enough, nobody, in groups and out groups, right? We help people like us and we sort of stay away from people not like us. Also, they mentioned the you get what you deserve thing in our brains, the morality and so on. This is where I'm probably going to become tearful. I cannot control it, so just forgive me in the offing here. But this was a show. You ever hear the ABC News show, What Would You Do? It's kind of like a psychological experiment show. They set up scenes, a kid being given alcohol, or a guy hitting his wife, or people talking racist in a restaurant, and really loud kind of a thing to see what people will do. And this is, I will say this is how powerful this is in my brain, because I never saw the episode I'm about to describe to you. It was told, I'm even tearing up just thinking about it. My sister told me about this episode of What Would You Do? I'm almost sure that was the show. Similar experiment to the one I just laid out from Brain Games, where a person is on the ground in need of help, in distress. And the person who stopped to help this homeless person was herself a homeless lady, like a bag lady. Why am I getting emotional about that? And here it comes to tears. What she did blew my mind. And you'll have to call and tell me if you think I'm like overreacting. Hold on a second. Let me get a paper towel. You'll have to tell me if you think I'm overreacting to this or not, because what she did was she named the guy. She did not know this guy. He was an actor with the TV show. But she stopped to try and help him. And when she, the bag lady, was unable to help him, she started trying to get other passersby to stop and help or call for help or do something. And she said, my friend Jim has fallen. I don't know if Jim was the name, but she's like, my friend has fallen. She named him. And why does it do it to me? I don't know. Like I say, I never even saw this episode, but I find that profoundly moving, like so moving that you're seeing what it does to me, and I'm unable to. Again, I was thinking about it before coming on the air, and I thought, I hope I don't cry in the air. But sure enough, I cried last night. This is just going to be the week where I cry in the air. So sorry about that. I promise it'll stop as soon as I stop talking about that. But think about that. I find that unbelievable that this homeless lady had nothing but the bags in her cart or whatever she had, stopped and named the guy to try and like humanize him, to try and get him some help, because he was clear. It makes me want to take and sell this tablet on eBay and locate her and give her everything I have. I find that so moving and so touching and so goddamn human. All right, enough. We're going to have fun here. That's all the sadness. I'm going to talk about what's coming up. I've already been talking for 7 minutes. Holy shit. Well, okay. The fun stuff I want to do is TV IDs. I haven't done this yet, but I've been thinking about it for a while. Just playing different old classic cable TV identifications. What the hell? Why? Because the ones I grew up with were badass compared to the ones we see now. I mean, the cable television was different in the 80s. Everything was different in the 80s. But there are some... I'm still dripping tears here. There were some amazing little identifications, and one of them, you know what, let's just for shits and giggles pull it up really fast, because I'm going to pull up YouTube here and see if I cannot locate for you the TBS one. This is from WTBS, the same TBS that plays, Big Bang Theory and Seinfeld today. let's see here. I need to type WTBS because that was originally the thing. WTBS Superstation ID. This goes by in the snap of a finger. It's literally only 11 seconds long here, but let me switch the camera to my YouTube feed and show you what I'm talking about. I eat this shit up with a soup ladle. It's unbelievable to me. Here we go. Oh, this is not the one. Hold on. You're watching Superstation TBS. Hold on. Hold everything. That's a newer one than the one I'm talking about. The one I want is this one here. Can you see I'm mousing over it here? Let's watch this. See if we can hear the audio, because the audio is great. Oh, wait. I haven't switched the camera. I'm sorry. I see my camera light on here. Hang on just a second, please, because let me get this so you can watch it. Again, it's going to go by in the blink of an eye. You're going to probably, any normal person will probably think, what the fuck does cBas get so excited about this stuff for? It's because it's classic. It's because it's not done this way any longer. And it's because of the music and the drum and the sort of the voiceover itself. Watch this.
From Turner Broadcasting System, you're watching Superstation WTBS, Atlanta.
The music, the drums, the voiceover, the cheap-ass animation. Think about it. I just love this stuff. From Turner Broadcasting System. You're watching Superstation WTBS, Atlanta. Back when TBS was not a cable station, but actually a superstation, meaning that it was an Atlanta station picked up on cable. I mean, it was not a cable channel in the way we think of it today. WTBS was a station in Atlanta, like KNBC or WABC, or, you know, a station in a local town with a transmitter that broadcast to televisions in Atlanta in the old-fashioned aerial antenna manner, and then happened to get put on cable systems. I think that shit's badass. We'll watch some of those that really intrigue me, because that's an awful lot of fun. We will tune in with the second half of the chapter we're on of the Philip Perea sort of scandal saga, whatever you want to call it, because that's important to me, and I've been covering it, so let's keep covering it. Not until about the bottom of the hour, though. I have about 20 minutes where I just have some stories that I've been making a list, and I want to talk about this stuff. Something else I watched tonight, Bill Maher. It was the episode from Friday, and Bill Maher is not going to be on this Friday, so I've got a while before the next Bill Maher is. Bill Maher, I think he's awesome. He's not awesome in the way Jon Stewart is awesome or Stephen Colbert is awesome. He's not awesome in the way John Oliver from HBO is awesome. God, John Oliver has a new episode that I also haven't seen yet. But I'm still sniffling from that damn thing. But Bill Maher's pretty solid thinker and a pretty good comedian. And tonight his ending commentary was about how presidential candidates, the press especially, when interviewing presidential candidates in the United States, need to put away and stop thinking about, did you smoke marijuana when you were younger, as a question. That just needs, if the answer is yes, and we need to move the fuck on, because it's just stupid. And, not only do I agree with that, but then he got talking. The last president that didn't smoke weed was George H.W. Bush, the one that came after Reagan. So what, 1988 to 92, that guy, the original George W. Bush's dad, apparently didn't smoke weed. I have no trouble believing that. I do not like broccoli. Never did since I was a little kid. And my mother made me eat it. And I'm now president of the United States. And I'm not going to eat any more broccoli. That guy. I know that quote firsthand because I listened to that soundbite several times in my child over the years, like a lot of times. I just think that's a really fun. I do not like broccoli. God, there is no one in the world who could benefit from a little bit of marijuana more than George H.W. Bush, for my thinking. But we know Clinton did, but he had to say he didn't inhale. George W. Bush wouldn't answer the question. Obama, as Bill Maher put it, not only did he smoke weed, not only did he inhale, he looked cool doing it. But the thing Bill Maher was saying, and it is a great point, is these presidents not only need to admit they smoked weed and move on if asked by the press, but Obama needs to use his presidential pardon power and go ahead and release the hundreds of thousands of drug users that have been imprisoned. I thought Bill Maher is such a genius. I mean, I wish I could play the thing for you, because goddamn, if it isn't profound and inspired and intelligent and logical, there's all kinds of things to love about what Bill Maher said last Friday regarding marijuana users that have been incarcerated. Probably all drugs overall, but certainly marijuana, for the love of God. A couple of train accidents in the news. This is something I wanted to talk about. There was a major and fatal train collision in the Bay Area, the very train system I used to use, which was Caltrain. It happened in the southbound direction, meaning it went from San Francisco to San Jose. It was one of the 300 series trains, meaning it was one of the express trains. And apparently a woman was, you know, I forget exactly which crossing it was. That's not the notable story that I want to bring to you regarding a person dying by train. The person dying by train story I wanted to bring to you was from CBS Seattle. Amtrak killed. Let's see here. Amtrak fatally struck. Let's just see if I can't pull that up on the news here really quick. Here we go. Man fatally struck by Amtrak train. What was he doing when he was hit by the train? Let's switch to the news page here. CBS Seattle reports the man fatally struck by Amtrak train while posing for a selfie. Dude was standing on the tracks. And in Kalama, Washington, an Oregon man posing for a selfie struck and killed by an Amtrak train as he and a woman posed for the photo on railroad tracks amid a Tacoma to Portland trip. Police say the unidentified man stopped along the Kalama River to smoke and take pictures with a man on the railroad, with a woman on the railroad tracks 3 miles south of Kalama, according to the Oregonian newspaper. As the northbound Burlington Northern Santa Fe train approached the two about 10:28 last Saturday morning, the man walked out between the northbound and southbound tracks to pose for pictures as the train passed by him. According to one sheriff's deputy, the two didn't realize an Amtrak train was approaching them on the southbound set of tracks. The train struck the man as he posed for the selfie. The woman was uninjured. The identity of the man will be released once the family has been notified, as always. Next of kin, right? Is it bad to say that's Darwinian? I don't know. I feel like posing for selfies is that new thing everybody's got to do, but I'm sorry, that's kind of Darwinian to me. A story about you've been wiping your ass wrong the entire life. Here's how you're supposed to be wiping your ass. We'll talk about that coming up. Oh, here we go. Let's see if I can't pull this story up. Let's see here. Let me just pull up Google. Pardon me while I pull this up. I probably should have these, pulled up, but shit, it's my show. I'll do what I want. You don't have to watch, or you can watch on tape and fast forward later. Okay, a commuter. Here we go. This is from Gawker news feed 3 days ago. I will switch the camera again to the news feed so you can see what I'm seeing here. Switching to the news feed in this page. Guy gets interviewed for job by commuter who he just told to fuck off, by Jay Hathaway of Gawker.com. Rushing to a job interview via the London Tube last Monday morning, I guess this is in London, a man found his way temporarily blocked by another commuter, so he pushed past the fellow and told him to go fuck himself. Unfortunately, that other man was Matt Buckland, the recruiter who was supposed to interview him for a software development position. Awkward. And he apparently tweeted, is this really his Twitter handle, El Satanico? That'll get you a job. Matt Buckland, Karma, the guy who pushed past me on the tube and then suggested I go F myself, just arrived for his interview with me. How about that for a little bit of karma? Buckland, who called the unnamed job candidate out on Twitter, told the BBC he had just stepped out of the way to let a lady pass when someone shoved him, almost knocking him over. He was shocked to see the same rude guy sit down across from him as his 8:30 interview. Totally awkward, he said, so I approached it by asking him if he'd had a good commute that morning. We laughed it off, and in a very British way, I somehow ended up apologizing. God, British people are weird. That would not happen in this country. The subway shover didn't end up with the job. Shocking. As it worked out, he wasn't right for the role. How about them apples? I think that's really funny. Hey, here's something fun. Before we get serious, talk about Philip Perea for a while, which we will. Philip Perea is the Fox News employee from actually a local affiliate employee from the Fox News station in Austin, Texas, who committed suicide about a month ago in the front of the News Corporation building in New York. He was mentally ill. He was cooking for a while. He was kind of pushed over the edge by what happened to him, which he called workplace bullying. And I think there's some merit to what he said. Sadly, he kind of was, like I say, he was cooking already. We'll talk about that some more. I started the chapter we will finish today. I started it last night. We only had a few minutes to talk about it. But before that, here's something I really love to do. Porn movie titles. That's all it is. You're not going to see any naked people fucking, but I have been recording for a while now. You know, you're on the cable scrolling or the satellite scrolling and you get past, some people have them filtered out, the porno channels. There's about a half dozen to a dozen of them. And for a while, I was actually making notes of it on my tablet, but now I've decided it's just easier to photograph the screen. And I can't really, I don't have them on the machine I'm using. Otherwise, I would just sort of pull them up for you. But let's sort of look at a few of them because some of the porn titles are really freaking hilarious to me. I'm sorry. Newbie Nude Fest, horny. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? Wait for it to adjust a little bit. Maybe you'll be able to see. Here we go. Yeah. Newbie Nude Fest, horny. That's the one that I was highlighted there. Black Asphyxiation. Face F, My Bad Teen. Holy crap, some of these titles are insane. What else was there? My Porn Star Debut. And the best part of that one is it's apparently the 8th in the series. My Porn Star Debut 8. Humans. Oh, I'm not sorry. That should be Human Sex Palace, but it's not. It's Hunan Sex Palace 5. Asian Sex Delinquents. First Time Cream Pie Filling. Home Porno Contest. Tanned and Creamed Mamacitas 5. Tell me this is not sheer comedy. I'm sorry. I cannot turn off the porno titles. I've never once clicked on a single one of them because I don't want to pay for it. And frankly, there's all kinds of free porn on the internet if you are interested in that. But just some of these titles are just to see them scrolling, you know, there's C-SPAN, there's Wolf Blitzer, you know, there's the Weather Channel. Oh, Fat Cream Pie's 9, you know, whatever the hell it is. Endlessly entertaining. Let's see if I can't do a couple more here. Where does the next one? Bang Me From Behind 2, Electric Boogaloo. I made up the Electric Boogaloo part. First Time Ethnic Teens. Okay, that's rather reserved. Hot and Horny Amateurs / Orgasms. A couple more. Oh, God, you got to see this. You wouldn't even believe me if you didn't see it on the screen for yourself. So I'm just going to let you see it on the screen for yourself. As soon as the camera will adjust to the brightness here, hopefully you will be able to see. Maybe you can't. Oh, come on. Really? It was working a minute ago. Why won't it adjust now? Okay, I'll just tell you. Do My Daughter, But Do Me First is the name of this one. 10 Babes, Epic Bush. Jaw Dropping Booty 1. I'm scratching my head about that one because do you have to call it 1? I mean, unless you're expecting to make 50 or 60 of the episode. And last but not least, Dark Meat Drumstick 6. Okay. I actually do have a whole file of them. Can I pull the file up? Is that just a sort of crazy idea to try and do? Crazy porn titles. I do have it here. And I mean, seriously, I have a list as long as your arm. Nut Glazed Wedding Day, Real Slut Party 5, Ghetto Fights, 4 Thug Throw, Teen Casting Couch Auditions, Orgy on the Love Boat. Dun, 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 love, exciting and new. Come aboard, come aboard. We're expecting you. That could be like ejaculating you. Love. Girl on Girl Sex, Lick Fest. 12 Thug Shaft in White Girls. I'm not sure if I wrote all these down properly. I like photographing the screen better. Spread Her Like Butter, 9. There have been 9 editions of Spread Her Like Butter. Black Pole Pink Holes, 18-year-old Snatch Stretch. Nut Inside Cheerleaders. 10 Best Bush Bang. Hot Load Slurpers. I gotta say, I've been watching the viewership increase, and God, it's been going up ever since I've been reading. Maybe this is just what this podcast should be, is me reading porno titles all hour. First Time Stepsons. I don't like any of that stuff that involves, like, sort of suggested incest. That really kind of bothers me. Like, I don't want to think of any of my family in that way. Little Teen Sex Machine. Pound My Round Booty. And last but not least, Black Magic Meat. All right, that's all I'm going to do here for that. But God, that's entertaining to me. Reading porn titles on the internet just for the sake of reading porn titles on the internet. All right. More of my stories I wanted to bring to you. Why will this not? My tablet is completely frozen. Well, isn't that special. Here we go. OneNote seems to be, Microsoft with your OneNote. It's a great program, but it doesn't seem to be very cooperative this evening. By the way, in case I haven't said it, please feel free to give a call. If you don't want to be on The Voice, the 310-776-5869 number, just go ahead and text it if you're in this country. If you have a cell phone, you should be able to call it for free. If you have the technology and you want to join in, I'd love to have a sort of another camera person or person on camera talking to. But if you just rather have your voice, just call in. If you'd rather just text, you can do that. I feel like this is not the correct one. All right, let's see here. I did tease this, and I do want to talk about it. The 5 facts about American history that Oklahoma wants to ban. Now, I got to say, one of the thing I have, that was actually a text from my friend. Hello, Robert. Thank you for joining. The word he said was, my viewership has quadrupled since I started reciting porn titles. That's just a beautiful thing. Let's actually talk about this. I have a feeling this would be something that would be great on the Armstrong and Getty show. I threw that in for Robert as well, because Armstrong and Getty is a radio show from the station where I used to work, and damned if that wasn't. I mean, it probably still is. I haven't tuned in a long time. Jack Armstrong and Joe Getty are really great morning radio show to listen to. I mean, they're wildly funny. They're smart. They're good thinkers. By the way, I've been opening every show with the cracking of a Mountain Dew, and I failed to do that tonight. I had so much to talk about. All right. The 5 facts about American history Oklahoma wants to ban. It seems like it's an Onion article. And again, I always try to consider the source for this sort of stuff, because sometimes if it's a news page you haven't heard of, you got to be careful about just sort of going with it. And when we get to the personal corner later, I'll tell you about how I was wrecked with guilt all day goddamn long because I started this story last night. We'll talk about it at the end of the show. The personal corner. I think that's what I'm going to talk about. cBas's personal, whatever the hell. Let me pull this story up. History, Oklahoma wants to ban. I haven't really wrapped my brain around this. The website is, well, one of them is the unheard of one that I first saw it on, mic.com. But here's one from The Guardian. Here's one from MSNBC. Let's go to The Guardian, Business Insider. It's all kinds of websites that are actually legit. So I feel a little better having just found that. For some reason, I had not looked it up on other websites. I just took the one I saw that my friend Michael had posted and kind of just flagged it, the way that I flag stories. Let me switch to the camera once again. I wish this were a little bit easier to do. I wish I didn't have to talk about it every time. But sorry, Oklahoma, you don't get to ban history you don't like. From The Guardian. All right, let's read this. Oklahoma House Republicans on the Common Education Committee voted Tuesday to ban advanced placement U.S. history courses because they think it shows what is bad about America. If I were Oklahoma, this author says, I would want to forget what is bad about American history too, especially in my corner of it. In its good history, Oklahoma can boast of being the basis of a Rodgers and Hammerstein musical, the home of Oral Roberts University, Oral, and Beavis and Butthead, I swear to God. But if Oklahomans were to purge all their local stories which reflect what is bad about America, their history pages would be wiped as white as a Tulsa Klansman's hood. Ooh, that's good writing. Oklahoma was the extremely violent home to a number of lynched African Americans, as chronicled by America's Black Holocaust Museum. The Native American men, women, and children slaughtered at what is now the Washita Battlefield National Historic Site, and the white people who killed them and likely went to church that very week. It is where Timothy McVeigh committed the largest domestic act of terrorism in recent years. Hello, Oklahoma City Federal Building. And Oklahoma's chock full of former reservations where Native Americans were forced to relocate. It is where just last year a botched execution took 45 minutes and left the condemned man Clayton Lockett a bloody mess. It is also where the violent fracking of natural resources may be the reason Oklahoma has gone from having 1 or 2 perceptible earthquakes a year to averaging 2 or 3 a day. I wish I knew more about the fracking and its actual effect on, I don't think that's quite in the category of climate change where 97% of scientists actually agree. But I do think that, here's the thing, let me just switch back to myself for a second. Many of my students when I was in Mexico teaching English were in the petroleum business. Almost all of them were. The area where I was a very petroleum company intensive thing. The city where I lived there at the tail end, Ciudad del Carmen in the state of Campeche, was delicious. Brought to you by Belch Beer. when you want a good beer. Just last month, Education Week gave the state. Oh, I was talking about fracking. I was going to continue reading Space Cadet here. But no, many of my students talked to me about fracking and the different methods. I learned a lot in the year I spent in Mexico. It was just about petroleum in the industry, because many of my students were petroleum company workers and worked on oil rigs out in the middle of the ocean. Some of them were mobile. Some of them were, kind of attached to the sea floor kind of a thing. One of the companies where I worked was called Sea Drill, SEA, the sea, ocean, drill. And they actually had their own English teacher on the oil rig. Originally, I kind of hoped I would get to go on the helicopter to the oil rig and teach English. That did not happen. But if I go back to Mexico, maybe I'll make that part of the deal. I don't know. At any rate, it's really funny to me that Oklahoma wants to ban history. AP courses violate the legislation approved last year that repealed the Common Core and could be construed, this is a quote, could be construed as an attempt to impose a national curriculum on American schools. Oklahoma is not the first state to declare the U.S. I just changed my channel here. Why? Pausing for a second, here's a term I invented, or I think I invented. I certainly have never heard anybody else say it. Sloppy click. Do you know what a sloppy click is? When you click something you didn't mean to click and it takes everything away, that's what a sloppy click is. It's something we all seem to do, and yet we don't have a term for it. If anybody out there within the sound of my voice knows of this term being, written or published or uttered anywhere publicly, please let me know, because I deserve royalties for that. A sloppy click is a term invented by Sebastian Kuntz. A retired school teacher named Larry S. Krieger is the reason this anti-educational insanity is occurring. Upon reading the College Board's latest revised framework, Krieger told Newsweek he, quote, saw a consistently negative view of American history that highlights oppressors and exploiters instead of striving to build a city on a hill, according to the framework, blah, blah, blah. The nation's founders are portrayed as bigots who, quote, developed a belief in white superiority, unquote, that was in turn derived from a strong belief in British racial and cultural superiority, blah, 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 blah. Let's see here. They're trying to say that the Civil War had nothing to do with slavery. They're trying to say that blacks, both free and enslaved, fought for the Confederacy. Apparently, the truth is the Confederacy banned black servicemen. I got to say, I'm not a history major, so some of this stuff I did not know until I'm reading it here live on the air. Lie. America was founded on religious freedom. Truth. America was founded on religious persecution. That's kind of, in a way, two sides of the same coin, I guess. Lie. The Pilgrims landed on Plymouth Rock. Truth. There is no Plymouth Rock. It's featured in songs, stories, and iconic speeches by Malcolm X. Unfortunately, Plymouth Rock is little more than a metaphor and coastal tourist attraction. There are no contemporaneous references to any rock in journals or logs from the Mayflower and its passengers. The one reference to any rock, much less one with a proper name, weren't made for more than a century after the Mayflower landed. Fascinating. America was founded as a Christian nation. That's a lie. America passed a treaty saying it's not. I mean, this is, I wish I could say I'm surprised, this is the kind of thing that goes on now as far as, sort of trying to, I mean, it's the debate. The people who, feel like history should not be revised, revisionist history is bad kind of a thing, Columbus Day should be celebrated every year and blah, blah, blah. And then there are the people who say, well, what about the Native Americans who looked across the boat at Columbus and said, we don't want to be discovered? It's a very old joke. I think the comedian was Flip Wilson who told that joke. We don't want to be discovered. Flip Wilson was a good comedian. All right. It's 11:32. This is when I said we were going to talk about Philip Perea. If you've never heard the name before, you're not alone. It's a story I chose to highlight continuously on this show because of two reasons. A, he's dead and can't do it. Maybe more than two reasons. He's dead and he can't do it himself. B, mental health needs to be highlighted. We need more, awareness. We need more resources, obviously. This is not going to do anything for that, but we need more awareness. And I feel like this guy's story needs to be told. Now, I don't agree with him that Fox News needs to repent for his suicide. I don't agree with him that You know, I mean, the problem is he was a problematic employee. He did have issues. There were things he kind of didn't do, failed to do within the scope of what his job was that, you know, he tried to claim ADHD for. And while his bosses did say, look, if you have something in writing, you need to give us this thing in writing so that we can make an accommodation for a disability as far as the Americans with Disabilities Act is concerned. But he would just wait until he got in trouble and then look at his boss in the meeting afterward, the in trouble meeting, you know, and say, don't you understand ADHD? I'm sometimes a space case. I don't always read the email completely. I don't always remember what I read. He would say those things. And it's just like, no. You had me, Phil, until the end. Or until about halfway through, to be completely honest. Let me pull up the video. Let's just watch the second half of it. It's only about 10 minutes. We'll have some more fun with the TV identifications from the 80s in a little bit. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and bring this to you. I think my viewership drops down whenever I talk about this because I don't think it's necessarily interesting to people other than me, but I feel like I say, it's a story that didn't get told enough. It was maybe 20 seconds on a newscast. It was maybe one column of a few column inches kind of in the newspapers and online. This is from his meeting April 10th of last year. I mean, again, he committed suicide about a month ago, and this meeting happened less than a year ago. But let's listen to him in his meeting. He recorded all of these meetings. That's the thing. If you don't know it, he had his iPhone recording audio the entire time and then went back and made these videos. You know, not identifying people, but Texas is the law in Texas allows you to record as long as you yourself are present.
This is what the expectation is. We're not going to go back and forth and say this and that. I'm saying that there's sometimes when you can be better prepared. The expectation is for you to be as prepared as humanly possible at 4:30.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just wanted to, you know, I do my due diligence on this. I am.
But sometimes you might be that's why the 4:30 conversation is really important. You come in, you discuss it. Sometimes you do due diligence on stories that we may not be planning on, you know, that may not be relevant to promote.
Didn't Kathy just say my job was to come in prepared? Now Kathy is carping about coming in overly prepared? Can someone point out the logic here?
Yeah, I'll do it, Phil. Just let me do it, because here's the problem. You are not overly prepared when you're doing things that your boss didn't tell you to do. He says that his boss doesn't like initiative. And I mean, it might be great to be doing things above and beyond the call of duty kind of a thing in your eyes. The problem is if it interferes with your job duties, or if it, you know, keeps you from doing stuff you're supposed to be doing, or if it, you know, somehow causes more work for people in your manager's position, or more people from working around you. If it causes more work or causes more problem than it does good, it's not really initiative. It's not coming in overly prepared. It's coming in wrongly prepared is what I think he's trying to sort of get around here. Let's continue. This is his sidebar moment. He does this a lot.
Please?
I'm real easy to figure out. It's just, I want to make sure we put on the product that's going to best draw in the rate.
But I feel like that at least with my experience with you, I still feel like there's a lot of discussion that we have, and there's a lot of times where I don't feel like you've got the insight or where you're on the right track with every story every time. And that's why we need more time to develop the strategy, and we need to do that before 5:50.
So Kathy feels like I don't have keen insight. Perhaps I should have been more prepared for her misguided opinion. All right, I'm going to grab one more Kathy excerpt, and then we'll focus primarily on Lorena.
The milestones of our discussion here are that fully prepared at 4:30. You're fully prepared to discuss at 4:30 because normally I will have, and Lorena will have done some homework as well on the story. So you're not coming in and informing us what you're just, you're giving us updates, but whatever, you know, we've done a little bit. We've been in the meeting and we've looked at the story. No later than 5, preferably before you're back with, after the discussion, you're back with a pretty long target script based on the discussion that you had.
All right, it's important to remember Kathy said Lorena would do her homework.
But like I said, I'm always going to do my due diligence as best as possible. Sometimes the information's not there. I'll go with the best information I have available.
That's all that you can do. Lorena, what would you?
It's a great idea before you go down to the Lone Park meeting to look in the daybook and see what's going on and read everything that's going on. So let me finish. So if, many times, what they're doing is already planned, that way you know what they're doing. So when they're there, you can talk to them in person and ask them questions about their story. I understand they haven't done the interview yet, but you can plant seeds and say, all right, well, this is, I'm thinking about doing this. Is this on the right track? Great time to have a question and answer with the reporter.
I'm always in communication with the reporter.
But that's not what I said.
With the daybook,
That's not what I said.
hang on a second. With the daybook, though, sometimes it's just there's a title, but it's a blank. And
Sometimes, yeah, and then you don't have these reads. You can't create.
But that's usually doesn't get filled in until much later.
I'm not saying this is for every story, but most of the time I can go in there before the 1 o'clock meeting, and I know what's going on before the 1 o'clock meeting.
Just as long as you're aware of that.
Did you see that? Lorena's quick turnaround? Lorena is very skilled at her craft of being slippery. When Kathy contradicted Lorena's advice on how to do my job, she quickly changed her words. But the most important words Lorena let slip gives you the insight into her personality. What kind of person says plant seeds as a tactic?
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm going to stop Phil again here. What kind of person says plant seeds as a tactic? That's, I mean, I don't know what exactly his objection is to this particular phrase, plant seeds. I mean, the way he highlighted it and the way he, let's go back to the screen for a second, because he sort of has it as this, he treats it like it's this obvious thing. What kind of person says plant seeds? Like it's a bad thing to say or it's a tactic or whatever. Look, here's what this guy's job was: to create a promo for the 10 o'clock news that teases the stories you're doing in the 10 o'clock news for prime time. This guy's job was to create promos for the prime time. So when you're watching American Idol and, the halfway through American Idol, you see, I'm Joe Blow coming up tonight on Fox 11 News at 6. Or Fox 11 News at 10. We're going to talk about, Joe Sixpack and his obvious affair with Jenna Sevenpack and her, obvious affair with Jenna Jameson and whatever the hell. I mean, you know what I'm saying? When you're creating a promo, you want to sort of have the most juicy story. And if, like they're saying, and the boss said in that earlier part of the meeting, is that, okay, maybe you're teasing a story for which the reporter actually hasn't done the interview. Okay, you're creating this promo, you're writing the promo, you're producing the promo. Maybe they're even having the news anchor voice the promo, standing in front of the set going, I'm Joe Blow coming up tonight on Fox 10 News at 7, that kind of thing. And the script will be written before the interview is done or before we know what the juicy tidbit is or whatever. But again, what you're doing is you're planting a seed. You really are. You're saying, okay, the people who don't watch the news probably don't give a shit, but they're turning on American Idol. Oh, look, tonight there's a major fire in a warehouse and we have helicopter shots, or, there's an interview with Michelle Obama or something like that. Michelle Obama's going through town and our Joe Sixpack is going to be live interviewing her, whatever the hell. Like, plant seeds is a perfectly okay thing to say, in my personal opinion. And, more importantly, it's kind of an important thing for him to do as a promo producer trying to tease the 10 o'clock news. I don't think that's weird or difficult or, unseemly at all for his boss, Lorena, to say that. What kind of persons says plant seeds is a tactic? All right, let's go on here.
These are the words of a manipulator.
All right, I mean, I don't think so, but go on.
Okay, more evidence of Lorena's slipperiness in this meeting, and then we'll get to the next audio clip.
I've talked to such and such, I've checked with producers, I've checked with, desk, I've read the assignments, rundown, I've read the 5P, rundown stories, there's many times where I've asked you, and I've read too, the stories in the 5P, and they clear as day have all the bites there.
Okay, so, I mean, did you see what he highlighted there? Let's go back just a little bit. I've talked to so-and-so, I've checked with producers.
I've talked to such and such, I've checked with producers, I've
checked with the desk.
I've read
the assignments. Okay, if you don't know how newscasts are built, I mean, if you're in the media, you know this, but if you don't know how newscasts are built, you very often have the rundown of I create a rundown of stories that I'm going to talk about on this stupid webcast. I don't just go riffing. I go through, I'm going through Twitter, I'm going through my news feeds, I'm seeing stories I want. Maybe it's not something that was posted on Facebook or Twitter. Maybe it's just something I thought of, like the TV, but either way, you want to have a little lineup of it. You want to have the order you're going to do it in, writing it down, paradoxically, having a plan, kind of gives you this paradoxical power to throw the plan out if you look at the plan and you don't like it, or to call an audible, is I using that sports term correctly, to change it at the last minute based on new information or something like that. That also not a bad thing to do. And so what he says in this, what he sort of highlights in this next
rundown story
thing. Here we go. Let me switch back to it again. I'm sorry for all the switching, but this is kind of an important thing because he's sort of trying to color it, and I don't think it's necessarily fair. I don't think I like this Lorena girl. I don't think I like the Kathy boss, news director type person, but that thing right there where it says passive aggressive, maybe he thought it was passive aggressive. I don't necessarily think it was. There are many times where I've asked you, and I've read too, the stories in the 5P. And they clear as day have all the bytes there. That's the other thing. If you have the rundown, very often, if you're planning the newscast, that happens well before 5 o'clock or 10 o'clock or whenever the news is on. Well before. You have to write, and you have a team of people working on this stuff. And, as you know, the people in the Trekkie chat room who all say all news is just shit and it's all just a conspiracy, or it's all, that is bullshit, because I know at the worst, it is not a conspiracy. At the very worst, it is idiots doing bad work. But it is not a conspiracy or any kind of contrived thing. You plan a newscast. That's how news gets done. That is simply a fact of the matter. It's like saying, oh, it's a conspiracy that Mountain Dew has high fructose corn syrup in it. It's not a fucking conspiracy. That's just how the stuff is made. You don't like to see, sausages get made. You don't like to see laws get made in Congress. Maybe newscasts are in that same category. I don't know, but it seems like his boss ought to be telling him what is expected of him. It seems like they're doing that, and they're having to have meetings of this sort to sort of get him on the right page and say, listen, you're kind of not doing what we're expecting you to do. You need to do this, and you need to cooperate. These are your expectations. These are your job duties. This is what we're paying you for. God damn it. I feel really bad for the guy. Obviously, he was so sort of driven nuts by this that he killed himself, and nothing but empathy for that guy. I mean, I feel a very, almost a kinship with the guy. I would give anything to be able to talk to him and communicate with him about some of his observations and some of his sort of twisting of words and stuff like that, because a lot of it he was railroaded. A lot of it he's being unfair.
Clear as day has all the bytes there. And, sometimes get some great coffee that actually helps, our spots. And I think that it's very beneficial, just to read the direction of the story and get the bytes. It makes it actually easier for us.
These are printouts of the stories. I do this on a daily basis.
I'm talking about the 5 o'clock stuff.
This is a 5 o'clock.
Okay, well, they're constantly, changing things, too.
That's true.
And I get that, too, but you just gotta check. Yeah.
Okay, all the time. I will say this. I'm going to side with Philip here for a second, because one of the things I really hate is when you have a boss that calls you into a sit-down fucking meeting and is like, all right, Sebastian, we need you to make sure you're reviewing the copy of the 5 o'clock newscasts to make sure that the promos are properly produced, Sebastian. I'm sort of channeling an old boss that I had. He was from the South, and whenever I switch into the Southern, whenever I switch into the Southern accent, it's because I am channeling a boss who is an idiot. And in this case, Phil has done exactly what he's sort of being called into the office for. He's been doing what they were asking. He holds up the scripts, and she's like, no, I mean the 5 o'clock scripts. And he's like, these are the 5 o'clock scripts. And she's like, well, you got to check all the time. All right, honey. I mean, yeah, I suppose it's true that he's not doing things right. At the same time, he appears to have been doing what he was being asked to do. So there's nothing that drives me nuts more than a boss who calls you in for a meeting to say things that you're already doing, and then kind of at the end of it go, okay, good meeting. Thanks. Good meeting. Good conclusion to the meeting. I'm glad we cleared that up. I'm glad, it's like, that was not a good meeting. You did not clear anything up. I was already doing it. no solution, no ground was covered, no improvement was made in the situation. You're just coming in, stating shit that's already been stated that I was already doing, and then kind of going, all right, good meeting. And many idiot bosses have that problem. I've gone through that repeatedly over the years. It's not fair.
Go ahead and laugh, because I did too. It would be funny if it weren't so serious. Now let's get to the events that happened the day before. And yes, any clear-thinking person will be absolutely disgusted by what you're about to hear.
Yeah, I'm trying to get info from her. She hasn't texted me.
Ah.
Well, she's doing rally, but she said she also had something. I mean, she hasn't texted me. She's working.
All right, here we go. This is where Philip lost me. I'm not going to switch back to me because I want you to focus on what Philip is saying here. She just asked him if he has talked to the people at the assignment desk. Desk doesn't know much of anything. So you talk to them and they don't know what this is about? I'll talk to them again. He won't admit he didn't talk to them. This is the point where Philip lost me, because we're going to go through the rest of this conversation. They go around and around. She keeps asking him and asking him. He won't admit that he didn't talk to the desk. Now, his reasoning for that is the desk never knows anything. In the previous installment last night, you heard him say that we have a great assignment desk team, and these are not the people I'm trying to malign or trying to say are do bad at their jobs or whatever. But, she's asking, did you talk to the assignment desk? And he's just like, no, they never know anything. They don't know anything. They never know anything. The answer is he did not talk to the assignment desk and won't admit it, won't say it. And it is that sort of he's being kind of evasive. He's kind of being a shyster. He's kind of being dishonest in a sense. And I don't like that. Let's listen to the rest of this. Did you talk to the assignment desk? I talked to the desk. I'll ask them again. He does say he talked to them. Did you talk to them specifically about this reporter's story? Didn't give a straight answer. Okay. Did you talk to them about this reporter's story? How long are you going to ask me the same thing?
Did you hear that laugh? It can only be one of three reasons.
Whatever. I don't give a crap about your one of three reasons. Like, you don't know what the reasons are for her laugh. I mean, her
nervousness, bemusement, or joy.
Well, I mean, okay, fine. If it was one of those three reasons, the reason is bemusement because you're being evasive.
Based on subsequent events, I'm inclined to believe it's joy.
Bullshit. No. Let me talk to them again. Did you talk to them before? Does that mean yes? I'll talk to them again. No, he didn't. What does it matter?
I just want to know, did you talk to him about her story yet or not? So I can properly direct you.
We talked earlier.
Anyways.
So can you tell me, can you just give a simple answer, yes or no? Did you talk to the desk about her story?
He won't say no. Extremely annoyed sigh. Saying his boss is playing games. Are you deciding not to answer me?
Not to answer me, or I don't understand what's going on. I'm just asking you a simple question. Yes, that's what I'm trying to direct you on what on the best stuff to do. So
they're not going to know anything more than what
he doesn't know that.
All they know right now.
So no. So the answer is no. You haven't talked to us about that.
I'll ask them. He won't say no.
Why don't you listen? So that way, when you go to them with all your questions, and you don't go to them for each individual question. The best way to handle you is to talk to them with everything at once instead of go point knowledge. That's how you're going to get the best stuff out of them.
The best stuff I get out of them is through the reporter.
That's great. I absolutely agree. I totally agree. But sometimes the reporter is unavailable, and you need to have answers. And the desk or the producer is usually your best source in that case.
Well, You've now seen Lorena's sadistic.
All right. Lorena has sadistic behavior. He says she's a white-collar psychopath, and so on and so on. This, you're now seeing kind of my frustration with it. I was really on his side. The first time I watched these videos, I was almost entirely on his side, saying these bosses were railroading him and kind of, badgering him and treating him unfairly and almost bullying him in the workplace. He calls this series the American Workplace Bully, but when he's starting to be evasive like that, he talked to them earlier. He didn't ask really about the reporter's story to the assignment desk. I'll ask them again. No, dude. You just need to admit it. Say you're wrong. Say you're sorry. Move the fuck on. That's how people who are trying to really do the best news would do it. I don't want to talk anymore about Philip Perea tonight. This has kind of been frustrating for me, seeing him. Just answer the damn question. Don't be evasive. Don't just admit you were wrong. It's not a crime to admit you were wrong. It's not going to get you fired unless it's a pattern. That's, by the way, what we'll see coming up. Is that it turned out it was kind of a pattern with him, and the pattern led to increasingly high up meetings with, like, eventually the vice president general manager of the TV station. You don't ever want to have a meeting with the vice president general manager of the TV station. I'm sorry. Even good meetings are not going to be pleasant with a vice president general manager of a TV station. I'm sorry. It's just, having worked enough with a lot of these people, nobody in the vice president general manager's position probably deserves to be there or knows shit about news. Almost universally. That may or may not be universally true, but I feel like it's pretty safe to say that overall. Let's have some fun. I want to watch some TV identifications from cable channels in the 80s and 90s. Let's go back to TBS here. TBS is where I started, and it goes by so fast. I play it a couple of times because it's like I get such a joy from it, and it's so much fun for me. Where are we at here? Okay, let's go back to this one.
From Turner Broadcasting System, you're watching Superstation WTBS, Atlanta.
I love that cheesy graphic. I love the sort of the videotape artifacts. You kind of see the tingling or the kind of glitches, I guess it is, of the videotape. Possibly my favorite one. Oh, let's do this one. CBS Spirit. Oh yeah, this is like from 1987, I think. Oh, where is that? Here we go. CBS Spirit. Oh, yes, it is 1987. And this guy, who's the guy Ion TV, has a fantastic channel. Look at these TV channels, these TV shows being promoted here. Bob Newhart, Tom Selleck, Larry Hagman. What's her name? Angela Lansbury. Designing Women. And I didn't know Bugs Bunny was part of CBS. That sets you apart, yeah. Cagney and Lacey. That spirit, CBS Spirit, oh yeah. Oh, Patrick Duffy, baby doll. Oh, Tom Poston, Peter Scolari. Oh, what was that show? Kate and Allie. Remember Kate and Allie? You so long. Snoopy? Really? CBS Spirit, oh yes. Janet Jackson? Jake and the Fat Man. Frank's Place, never heard of it. Tour of Duty, what? Everything's relative, you've got to be kidding me. Beauty and the Beast, I remember. Legwork. The Law and Harry McGraw. The guy from Law and Order was on that. Wise Guy, the oldest rookie. All right. It's only a minute left. We'll let this play out. And then I'm going to do one from KTVU, which is my favorite one of all. Jake and the Fat Man. together, I can truly say you got what I'm looking for. cBS Spirit, oh yes. God, I mean, just the corny cheesiness of it all just drives me insane. I get such a bizarre kick out of it. The last one I want to do is KTVU Bay Area People. There it is. All right. God, this is classicness. And this is the good one. There's actually two of these, but let's just focus on this. Bump, up, bump, up. You know just who you are. You do your thing in your own way and follow a different star. Yeah. Bay Area people, independent through and through. The guy roller skating in San Francisco. Muni buses. This salute to the independent spirit of Northern California is brought to you by the television station Northern California watches most, KTVU. That was Dennis and Elaine there. Two, yeah, baby doll. Oh God, isn't that just? I'm just so excited about that stuff. It is already 11 o'clock on the west coast of the U.S. It is already 0700 GMT. That is the time I'm supposed to wrap things up. I could go as long as I want to, but I feel like an hour a night really is good enough. Join me again 23 hours from now, I guess, for more excitement. We'll do more of the Philip Perea story. We'll do more fun stuff. We'll drink more Mountain Dew. It'll be a blast. Make sure you join me. Hey, bookmark the page, tell a friend, whatever you got to do. I'm astounded anybody watches me doing this because this is not broadcasting in the traditional sense, and yet I can't believe the viewers I'm actually getting. So thank you for being here. Feel free to text me here at Sebastian Kuntz on Twitter, cBasKuntz@gmail.com. I'm reachable just about every way. Just send me a text, send me a note. Give me a call if you feel like it. I prefer the calls on the air live, obviously. I've only had that a couple of times, but we'll do it again. Good night. Have a great Tuesday. And yes, this has been cBas After Dark.